Dozens of anti-ICE protesters clashed with police in lower Manhattan last night.
They were taken into custody after breaching barriers that were set up by the NYPD to keep them on the sidewalks.
Is New York City becoming the next battleground for America's immigration crisis? Night after night, chaos unfolds in the streets of Manhattan, and the situation is spiraling. Dozens of anti-ICE protesters clashed with police last night in lower Manhattan. After breaching NYPD barricades, they were taken into custody. But the story doesn't end there. These activists aren't just protesting. They're flooding the streets of America's largest sanctuary city and overwhelming law enforcement on a nightly basis. And while the mayor of New York insists he won't tolerate violent activism, to these agitators, that sounds more like a challenge than a warning. Anyone in the street is going to be arrested, warned officials. But 86 arrests later, tear gas deployed, and still the protests rage on. Some demonstrators were zip-tied and loaded into NYPD buses. Others were dragged to the ground by officers in riot gear. But the message from protesters was loud and clear. We're not afraid. We will not be bullied. You can't lock us all up. What's worse? While violence shook the streets, top NYPD officials were seen playing golf with former President Trump, a moment activists have used to fuel their anger. By day, the protests appear peaceful, but after dark, they morph into something else, something more dangerous. So how is this being framed as peaceful protest? This movement, born out of anger over immigration enforcement, is turning into a force that's shaking New York's foundations. In a city already plagued by rising crime, a shrinking police force, and over 8 million people, these demonstrations are creating a perfect storm. Many of the arrested? Released within hours. Some just handed tickets for disorderly conduct. It's not just a protest, it's becoming a cycle. Arrest, release, repeat. And as police get pulled from one neighborhood to control crowds in another, crime fills the vacuum. New York's own public advocate has blasted the mayor, calling him a Trump wannabe. The battle lines are drawn, not just between protesters and police, but within the city's own leadership. The NYPD insists they're prepared. We won't tolerate violence or chaos on our streets. But here's the question. With an overstretched force and no real consequences, can they stop what's coming next? Because if things keep going like this, New York won't just mirror the unrest in Los Angeles. It may become ground zero for America's next wave of domestic unrest. Let me know if you'd like a voiceover-style version or subtitle script as well.